Welcome to Care Simplified channel. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel for me. Today we are going to look at database analysis for your pet phase 2. Now, for database, mainly we want you to make use of three different objects. We want you to use database table. We also require you to use queries, and then lastly, report. The rubric does not cater for form. So now, for the table, you need to have at least one table with some records in it. And then the records can be out of 20 records or more. And then the number of fields will be at least 5 different fields. So basically, you can create a table by using your questionnaire responses by importing to database. And then, or you can also use the external data, but it must have 5 different fields. Now, let's look at it. So I'll open my Access database. You just go to Start. You search for Access. So blank one. And then maybe you can say phase 2. Database. And then you create. Right. So now I have to import the questionnaire here or any other table that you have, you import them. So how do we import it? You just right click, you can see import, or you go to external data, new data source from file, then you choose Excel. Or the easier way, by default, you see table 1, you right click, import Excel. Then you click on browse to go and select for your spreadsheet. So I have my data here. Now, it's important here, you are not appending a copy of the record to a table. That means you are adding it to a record that you have already or in another table. But we don't have a table already. You don't have to create a link also. So we choose the first option, import the source data into a new table in the current database. Then you click OK. So here you can take first row heading, but if it's going to give you problem, don't even take it. Just click on next. We will change the field name to next. Don't insert any primary key or anything. Then you go to next. No primary key. You will choose the primary key yourself. Next. And then here, instead of sheet 2, you can just say questionnaire, just give it a name, a meaningful name. So maybe AI responses. And then finish. Now we have our AI responses here. When you double click, it's going to give you the entire data. Right. Now with this, remember we have field 1, field 2. It doesn't have the name of the different fields for us. So you see here, the first one was, I think it was the number also. The second one is age. So you can change the names here by double clicking on top of each field. Then you type age, gender, double click on the field name. So here is a familiar with AI. You can just make it short. Remember, the field name should be a single one. underscore AI, familiar AI. As one, here, aware of AI in education. Awareness. AI. AI, you can just open it to see AI application familiar with. That is if somebody is familiar with the AI application. So you can just say AI apps underscore app. And then perception with AI. AI underscore perception. Make it a single, it's a unique. This one, I think this one was the function, the one that I used spreadsheet to calculate. So I think I wouldn't need this. Or if you want it, maybe AI perception numerical. This one is positive impact. And then the ethical. So you just give them names, meaningful names. I think it ends here. These ones are not needed. These were the calculations that I made. So from field 11, I can just delete them. So you go back to home and then you change home, then you change the view to design view. So it ends here. Here I can delete all these fields. They are not needed. You right click, delete row. Yes, delete all those rows. And the same way with your questionnaire, if there are some of the questions you don't want it to be here, you can delete it. Remember, they said at least 5 fields needs to be there. So the fields that are not needed, please you delete them. Right. I think this one was the number. Then you go to design view here. You are going to change. Age is not short text. Let's check the values here. Yeah, it's a short text because it was age range. So here is a short text. Yeah, basically most of them are short text. But you must change all the field sizes. Like for instance, age. Go and check the highest number of characters. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5. None of them is more than 5. So the field size, you change them to 5. It should be a meaningful field size, not just type in 20. You must verify from the values or the data that you have. Now here for the gender. Remember when you are done changing all this, the first row is not needed. You select it, you right click and say delete record. You don't need that part. Then you check here, gender, prefer not to say is the longest one. So you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Space is included 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So gender, the number of characters is 17. So the field size, you change it. You must change all of them, the field size. That's what the question wants you to do, or the rubric. So all this, you change the field size. Right. And then after changing the field size, one other thing that you need to do also is that you must put at least one input mask. and then one validation rule. Then you must also have at least one options combo box. So I can choose this one as combo box, gender as combo box, or maybe familiar with AI as combo box because it has yes and no. So familiar with AI, then you change the data type into lookup wizard. That's the one we use for combo box. Then you say, I will type the value that I want. Next. Then you type the values, yes, and then no. So when I go to familiar with AI, you realize that when I click that the options are there, like we did in spreadsheet when we use the data validation tool. So at least one combo box should be done. And then the second one is the validation rule and then the input mask. So I can also apply input mask on the numerical values. Let's say the AI perception. AI perception here, they are numerical values. That's from 1 to 10. So here I can use validation rule here and say between 1 and 10. Accept only values from 1 to 10. You must have validation text as well. Right. So I used unfamiliar with AI. Let me see. It's already, no, it's perception. I typed it as the wrong one. Let's check. I think it's under perception, yes. Between 1 and 10. And then you type accept only values from 1 to 10. Right. So for numerical one, if it's for text, for yes and no, let's say your data set, you don't have that one like awareness of AI. It has yes, no, and then unsure. So you can just do that also as a validation rule. You put that yes or no, or should be inverted comma, and then or unsure. So these values here must be in inverted comma. And then it's a values, yes, no, and unsure, only accepted for awareness. Right. So these are the options. And then you put one input mask. You can pick it from any of the questions. We can also put it under the familiar as input mask, yes and no. So you go to input mask. Because yes and no, the highest number of characters, they are all text. So you put greater than L. That means a letter. And then followed by another letter, which is yes and no, which is capital L, which is compulsory. But the no has only 2 letters. So the third one would be optional for yes. Then you put question mark. And if we want the second letter to be less than, which is the smaller case, you put less than there. So this is an input mark for yes and no type of question. You do that also as well. If it's numbers, like the ratings, you can just put input mask for the ratings also. Like this perception, you can put input mask also as well. So you do this by changing the size, the input mask, the validation rule also. Now, don't forget in datasheet view, you go to text formatting, and then you will see datasheet formatting. Or tell me what to do, you type cell formatting to format cells. Just a cell. And then you can change it to maybe raised or sunken or flat. Maybe you don't want the vertical one. Background color, you change it. Alternate background color. If you want the grid lines to also be changed. Right. And then you can sort, maybe we are sorting according to perception in ascending order. Just do this to make your data look better. Now, after this, if you like, you can do like the 12, you can do 1 or 2 calculations in table. You can do 1 calculations in table. So we are going to do 1 calculation. That's the if statement. Or maybe a code. You can create a code. And then instead of short text, you change it to calculated. So here we are going to do the calculations here. Short text, we want to combine. Let's say we want to take the first 2, or the calculation, you want to take the first 2 letters of the AI perception, then we combine with the age category, or the first 2 letters of the age, and then we combine with something else. So we use the left function. You can use any function. Left. And then these are the fields. Whenever you are doing calculations in database, we use the field. So let's say age, double click on age, comma 2. That means we need the first 2 characters of the age, and you put shift and then 7, concatenate, and maybe the AI perception, you double click on it, or you can use the made function or the right function, just at least 1 calculation there, a simple one. And then let's see how it goes. So you can see here, we have the code here. Right. At the same time, we can also do calculation like the way we converted the awareness of AI into zeros and ones. We can also try with the if statement. So familiar with AI. It's yes and no. So we go there just after familiar with AI. You right click and say insert row. Then you say familiar calculation. And then we want to convert it so to calculation. Then we use if statement. And remember database if statement double if. If, let's say familiar with AI, you open bracket, familiar with AI, you double click, is equals to yes, then comma. Then we should put 1. Otherwise, we put 2. So when the value in familiar with AI field is equals to yes, we put 1. Otherwise, 2. 2 means no. Okay. So you see it here, familiar with AI and its calculation. Here is it. So it gives us the ones and then the twos with a simple if statement. So here I've touched on if statement. Then I also touch on test function. We can use them in a table. Right. So this is all about a table. Then you go to queries. How do we create queries? You go to create, then query design. But take note, we need to create at least 3 queries. So we can create a simple query, query design. You add your table. Let's say we need only gender, and we need familiar with AI. First of all, run it to see what's displayed there. So male and then yes. Now, we want to sort. Don't forget to sort it. And then the criteria, because we want to display only those who said yes. Yes, you can type yes in full, or you can just say Y star, beginning with letter Y. Now let's go and see. So all those who selected or who chose that they are aware of AI, they are familiar with AI. You right click, save, it will ask you to put a name. Then you can say QRY underscore familiar or maybe 1. You close it. That's the first query. How did you create it? You created a query with just a simple criteria. Now, the second one is creating a query to combine 1 or 2 things. Now, let's take a look at that. Create query design. Create query design. Then we choose table, AI responses table. So I want to combine 2 or 3 things here. Now, let's say positive impact or the one that contains numerical values. Let me check which one contains numerical values. Is the AI perception, the second one. So I choose AI perception. And then I can choose the second one. So the perception, that is the yes. So here, criteria, I can put those that chose yes and no or all. So you combine with all or something, so you can say 1, and then under the all, I put 2. Let me check if there's 1 there and 2. There's no 1 and 2. So here, let's say I want only from 1 to 2, or those from 5 to 10. Yes, 5 to 10. So I can use between 5 and 10. So it's also the second criteria. So to display those who chose from 5 up until 10. Right. Or you can use the or function, like this one says you need to make use of either between, the second criteria, either between, or use or and then the end. So when you use that one, then you get that part. Right. The third one is the calculated one. Queries with a simple calculation, like we did there, and a date or time, and then the complex logical. So here I can, the same way I can put the calculation here as well. Calculated field. How do you create calculated field in a query? You right click in an empty space, you say build. It's going to give you the expression builder. So here, you can choose everything under the database. This is the database. You click on the arrow, the table, AI response. Let's say I want to combine the familiar and shift and 7 and the AI perception. Then it gives you the expression. So you can just put the name of the calculated field. Let's say code 1. Run. Right. You can also use if statement depending on how you want to do your calculation. Just one calculation should be there. And then for the second query. So that's the second query. You put between, or you can use all to separate them. How do we use all? Let's say I chose now I want to choose strongly agree or agree for the AI perception. So here I choose agree, and then I go to all, and I choose strongly agree. Right. So the all will give me this the all function or the all way of putting the criteria for the second part. So I've catered for the calculation using all and the using between as well. Right. Now, the last part of the query will be the aggregate function. How do we create our aggregate function? Create query design. Now, I want to summarize this. Aggregate function is similar to the spreadsheet pivot table or the spreadsheet frequencies. Let's say awareness of AI. So I double click on it twice. First part, second part. Then from the query design, you see totals. You click on totals. It's going to give you the total row. That's a group by, group by. Now the second one, that's a group by, you change it to count, depending on the function that you want to use. So count, and then you run it. So it's going to just count all those who chose no, who chose unsure, and then also yes. Right. So that is aggregate function. That's the third part. So here, the grouping, the calculations, and lastly, how to do a simple query. So this is all about queries. And the last part is you create one report. So you go to create report wizard. And then here, table of queries, you want to create based on the table. You select, don't select so many fields. At least few fields, you just double click on them. And then next, let's say we want to group according to, let me choose gender there. Sorry. And then next, I want to group according to gender. Next, you can sort it. The question says you must group and sort. So you must sort it also as well, either ascending or descending. And then let's say landscape, finish. Now this is my report, which has been grouped and sorted. So I must perform at least one calculation here. How do I do my calculations here also? You can make it simple. Just go to group and sort. If you don't know where to find it, go to tell me what to do. It's a group. You see sorting and grouping. It's going to show sorting and grouping for you. Or alternatively, from report design, you see group and sort. Now, you go to more. Then you find with no totals. You click on the arrow totals on, you select one of the fields given to you. Let's say AI perception. Then I want to find the average. It's numerical value. Then you take show subtotal in group footer. Or you can even show the grand total as well. Now let's check. So you see each of them is grouped, and then it's the average will be there. Group with the average. Now we need to put a label for it. Now you see here average. So you click on the label and then you draw it. Then you can say average perception. Right. You can decide to change a lot of things on your report, but basically this is what we want. You can change the heading, put a logo there, or page numbers. Also there, you can insert an image. You can change the background by right-clicking, fill or back color. You can change the background color as well. Again, if you want to do validation rule and others, you can do them also. But that is not needed. So basically, this is what we want from you regarding your report. It should be grouped, it should be sorted, and you must do at least one calculation there. If you want to do a lot of things, like the options, if you want to change it to combo box, you can just right click and say change to combo box. And then change some of the options. So basically, this is what we want from you. The calculation here for the average, you can go to sheet properties and change the decimal place. Let's say to fix to 2 decimal place. So the format should be fixed into 2 decimal place. Let's see again. So you must change it to 2 decimal place or anything that you want to do to format it. Right. This one should be changed to fixed 1 and then decimal place to 2. All right, so this is all that we need from you regarding database. 1 report, 3 queries, and 1 table. And then you must follow all these steps. Thank you for your time.